So we're going to start this program, and thank you very much for students that have joined us, and also for the students that will continue on joining us. I am here today to introduce Randy Rosenblatt, who will be speaking as our second day is progressing about branding yourself and using the LinkedIn account that we created yesterday. They will talk about what you can do with your LinkedIn account and how you can make sure that you can utilize it for your job search. So Randy, go ahead, please.
Sure. So thank you, Sharka and Jessica and Leslie. Hi, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. So I'm going to actually share my screen now so you all can see my LinkedIn, and it'll just help us kind of talk through this a little bit in terms of how you'll use LinkedIn and kind of leverage the profile. So can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I think first thing to mention, and I know you all built out LinkedIn profiles yesterday, and those should really be kind of living, breathing profiles that get updated as you change positions, as you get summer associate opportunities, as you write, as you do moot court, whatever the case is. Should definitely keep updating those as you have all these accomplishments to put on. And just kind of one, I guess, blanket point in all of social media generally, this is your digital footprint. It's a resume, it's a biography. The same applies to Facebook and all other social media. So if you don't want your mom to read it, don't put it on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or any of it. It's all considered professional, regardless of whether or not you yourself may use Facebook personally. You have to think that employers and colleagues and contacts will be checking all of social media, because they absolutely will. So just make sure it's all professional. And again, anything you would be okay with your mom reading on your social media pages. So with all that said, I'm going to start with your network itself. So what you post and what you share on LinkedIn is all important, but you have to have a network within LinkedIn to actually benefit from posting it and sharing it. So the question becomes, who do you want to be in your network? So just to see, for an example, if I click on my face here on the left, you'll see it shows my profile. I have 500 connections plus, and when you open it up, I actually have about 2,800. So that has obviously amassed over time, but I would start with a goal of 500, and don't just go adding people left and right. Build up your LinkedIn network thoughtfully. So for example, if you are interested in corporate law, figure out who the thought leaders are in the corporate law space, what the firms are that are top in corporate law that you're interested in, and go connect with lawyers in that space and go follow firms in that space. So following and connecting are different on LinkedIn. So if you connect with someone, it's a two-way relationship. If you follow someone, you will see their content. So just keep that in mind as you kind of make these connections, that you want to kind of pick and choose what the relationship looks like. So
and can I just interrupt you for a second, Randy?
Sure.
Once you are connected to somebody, do you automatically follow them, or are those two separate?
No. So once you're connected, you can see anything they post and share, and they can see anything you post and share. If you follow them, you're literally just seeing everything they do. They are not seeing anything that you do.
Okay. Thank you.
So when you connect with people, again, make it thoughtful, make it meaningful. People are generally somewhat guarded in many people are guarded in who they accept as a connection on LinkedIn, and you should be also, because you want the network itself to have value for you. So if someone asks you to connect, or you ask someone to connect, you should ask yourself, what is in it for me and what is in it for them? And if you can properly answer both of those, this is my own kind of parameter in this, if you could properly answer both of those in a way that's comfortable for you, accept the connection. So for example, if a doctor in Columbus, Ohio asked me to connect, I don't know what the reason is for that connection. We're in different industries, we're in different geographies, we don't have any mutual contacts. So my instinct would be not to accept them as a connection. If I'm curious, I can reply and ask what the interest is, and maybe we'll get somewhere. But be somewhat mindful of who you let into your network so that you can make your network meaningful for you. When you go to connect with people, the other thing is don't just hit connect. So let me show you an example. So I see here Matthias Prybor, and I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly, but I'm going to type that right in here. I'm going to hope, okay, so here we have, oh great. And Matthias has a LinkedIn profile. So we are not connected. I could either just hit connect and this pops up. Your invitation to Matthias is on its way. You can add a note to personalize your invitation. You can just hit done and Matthias will get in a request from me to connect. He doesn't know who I am. I'm just someone who's connecting with him. The better way to do it is to click add a note. And then I can say, hi Matthias, we were on the webinar at Tulane together. It was delightful connecting with you there. I'm happy to connect with you here as well. So then I have now connected the dots for him as to how he knows me, and then he can decide if he's going to accept me as a connection. So Matthias, I will just connect with you anyway, and you could take my verbal note as a note. So use that, add a note. You could do it on your phone too. If you're doing it on your phone, it looks a little bit different, but anytime you can bridge the gap of someone having to try to figure out how they know you, spend the time to bridge that gap because it makes it a lot better for the people who are receiving the invitation. You're making their job a little bit easier. Plus you're starting a conversation, which is really helpful. So again, think about the industry you're interested in, the subject matter area, the firms, the geography, and then find contacts within that space. Don't be shy about reaching out to people you don't know, who don't know you, who you've never met, and putting in a note and saying, you are an IP partner at XYZ firm in Dallas. I'm a Tulane law student, really interested in this geography and this practice. I'm looking forward to connecting with you here. They know why you're connecting, right? You've put it in the note. So give them the opportunity to accept you, and then you'll see kind of whether they accept and then what their LinkedIn activity looks like. Pick some thought leaders. Feel free to pick kind of household names that are interesting to you. You know, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, whoever you want. And then you'll start to kind of build up this arsenal of thought leaders who put out things that are interesting. Certain practice areas, like I mentioned, find certain things that, find certain thought leaders within that practice who put out content that keeps you up to date. Certainly connect with all of your colleagues. Sorry, it just ends up being a very interactive platform once you get into LinkedIn, as you can see by all the things popping up top. On these panels, anyone speaking to you, take the opportunity, right? Everyone who's on this should send me a LinkedIn connection, right? We've had the opportunity to be on this webinar. That's how you build this. Just connect the dots for me, right? Sharka should be your LinkedIn connection. Jessica, Leslie, all your colleagues at school and whatnot. And that's how you start to amass contacts. Do it, I would say, right after you attend a webinar or right after you meet someone, so it's fresh in your mind and fresh in theirs. So that's for networks. Now, in terms of content, I'm assuming the presumption is I'm a student, I have no content. And I will tell you that that's not entirely true. The expectation is not that you have to sit there drafting groundbreaking law, because the truth is you have better things to do right now, and that is to do law school, frankly. So the better thing to spend your time on, I think, is, again, picking up on the network you just built, sharing things that other people are doing. So, for example, if I go into my home page on LinkedIn here, let's say that I see that, scrolling down here, okay, the 4th floor, that I think that something that they're doing is interesting. Okay, if I go down here, so great progress, it's still so far to go. Women now hold record 22.6% of the board seats in the US. I think this is something that's interesting. I think my network will be interested in seeing this. So I'll go down here, I'll like it, So I'm engaging with Sarah Feingold, who's a contact of mine who shared this and happens to be one of the founders of the Fourth Floor and was the first lawyer at Etsy, actually. I'll comment, let's say, and I'll say something like, thanks for sharing. You know, I have read this, so it's meaningful. Thanks for sharing. And then I'll post it. Okay. So then she'll see I've engaged. And then let's say I'll share it. So if this is something that I think my network would want to see, I would send it to anyone in my LinkedIn, and I would say, making great, women on boards are making great strides, or something like that, and I would type it all out, and then I would post it. And then, here, let me do this so you can see it, are making great strides. Okay, and then I'll post it. So then anyone who's in my network, I'm gonna go back to my homepage. Anyone who's in my network will see, I have to go to my activity. So you click on yourself, you click on your activity, and you will get much quicker at this the more you do it. So see all of my activity. And it'll say, okay, so if you click on me, you will see I have now shared this. And it will pop up in my entire network's feed. So women on boards is something that's important to me. So I make sure that I'm sharing things that are relevant to me and my community of people. And not everyone has to agree. It doesn't have to be important to everyone, but something that I'm comfortable sharing that I would think my community would be interested in. So that's one way to be active. Another way to be active is as you write for the journals, or as you have an opportunity to get published in other things through law school, certainly share them on your LinkedIn page that you just published something. But then the other part is, if you scroll down into your bio, into your profile that Amy, I think, built with you yesterday, you will see that there is a place for publications, okay? Accomplishments, publications. You can list every publication with a link to it here, and you should. Again, it's going to building your profile. So make sure that you load it here, and even after you load it here, share it with your network. You can go into your homepage and take the opportunity to post. Look, start a post right up here. I want to share this piece I just wrote for the Tulane Maritime Law Journal. I'm thrilled to have been published. Enjoy the read, and then you can add it, right? Attach it here, and then you'll post it. Okay. So that's another way that you can kind of be seen. And then, like I said before, going through as you've built up your profile and people you're following and whatnot, scrolling down through your content daily and liking and commenting on things. And then you start a conversation, because you may not, let's say, know Sarah Feingold, but maybe you connected with her because you were interested in her work and she accepted your connection. Then you like what she did, so you're giving her engagement on her post, and then you're commenting, and then she may reply, and then you're starting to build a virtual relationship that comes 6 months, 9 months, 10 months down the road. You kind of know each other a little bit. And then if you're then at a point where you're looking for a job in IP and that's her space and that's why you connected, asking her if she's free to connect by phone isn't such a strange thing, because you've built up this virtual relationship where you kind of see where people are spending their time on the web and in a professional way, and who they follow. If there are people you respect, see who they follow and then follow the same people. And you'll start to kind of get a sense of what your footprint can and should look like, and no two are gonna be the same. So if you look at my LinkedIn and start to follow some of the people or connect with some of the people I'm connected to, they'll be part of your network, but your network's never going to mirror mine, because you're going to have different interests, and you should, and that's what makes them all different. In terms of kind of a little more on content, again, don't focus on writing your own things in terms of white papers and whatnot, but if you read something or you have a view on something, you can feel free to share it. So let's say you read an article in the New York Times on women holding board seats. Share the article and put your perspective. And if you want, pose a question, and questions encourage people to engage. It's kind of like a call to action. So again, you are building these relationships, and you'll start to see a trend in terms of who follows you. The other thing I want to point out here are these groups, which you can see on the left side. So when you join a group, it gives you access to the other people in that group. So you will start seeing things posted to the group, but the group will only see things that you post if you share it with the group particularly. So you'll see I'm a University of Michigan alum and I'm a Tulane Law alum, 3,251 members. What I just posted on Women in Boards in my own profile, the members of this group are not seeing. They're only seeing it if I go into my groups, I click here on the group itself, and then I start a conversation here. So I have access to the group, but I have to access the group in order for them to see what I'm talking about. They don't have access to my general profile unless we are separately connected, which is a little bit tricky, but that's how this works. And then as you see things coming out of the Tulane Law alumni group, you'll start to form relationships with those folks and probably connect outside of them. So as you're looking to build your groups, certainly pick Tulane Law, pick your alma maters, and then pick other groups that are interesting to you. So I have ABA Women Rainmakers, I have Legal HR, Women in Law, all Harvard Professional Development, all different things kind of pertaining to the space that I'm in, and groups that I think would be interested in things I have to say. So I recently launched a business. When I did my launch on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn world saw it, but then I went into separate groups here and shared the launch because the members of the groups would not have seen it, like I just said, but for me posting it there. So again, pick your groups strategically, search based on your interest, geography, practice area, whatever the case is. Certainly pick your alma maters so that you have access to those folks. And I think that probably covers it all in a New York minute, I guess. 17 minutes, Sharka, so 3 to spare. Anything you want me to follow up on?
So yeah, if you can talk a little bit about it, give students an idea about how much time they should spend on LinkedIn, considering that obviously their main goal is to study, but to develop network, like really how much time they should spend on it, and what is the expectation, like when, how many years do you think it would take to get to a level that they would have the same amount of activity and network as you do?
Sure. So there's no destination in this, right? It's constantly evolving because you're also changing what your interest is in being on LinkedIn, right? Your stage of your career is different. What you're looking for is different. So there's no destination in it. And it's just a constant kind of evolution of building a network, which doesn't ever end. In terms of time spent, I would say I would dedicate 5 to 10 minutes a day to at least scroll through and see what's going on conversationally. And then also allow yourself time to share, like I said, if you wrote for the journal or things like that, consciously schedule time to share that type of stuff. And then also consciously schedule time to connect with folks based on a specific interest. So if you're on a track, for IP and you're interested in that space, make the time to connect with other folks in that space, not in those same 5 to 10 minutes a day, but in a more strategic way, saying, I want to practice IP and I want to go to a firm that's 50 lawyers or less in Denver. Spend the time to connect with those lawyers above and beyond the 5 to 10 minutes a day you spend to just be active on LinkedIn and to just stay relevant.
Wonderful. So we are exactly at the 20-minute that we promised this video will last. I know Randy was kind enough to say that if any of the students that are present have any questions, she would be happy to answer them. So please feel free to ask any questions. Or you can also wait until our Friday session where all the presenters will be answering all the questions. So
or if you want to see how anything on LinkedIn works, now's a good time.
Yes, I have a question. Sorry. Do you think that I should hide the feature that lets other people see if I stalked them?
No. I don't think you should. Actually, but you bring up a great point. I think whoever you're looking at, you should be comfortable with them knowing that you're looking at them, and there's no shame in looking at anyone, frankly. So I would not, because if you hide that, I believe what ends up happening is that you can't see who looks at you either. I think it's a two-way street. So you want to be able to see who looks at you. The one thing you do want to do is, let me see if I can do this while we're on here. You want to make it so that your changes are not always shared with, let me see where this is here. You want to make it so that your changes are, sorry, I just have to move the Zoom box because it's blocking this. Your changes are not always shared with everyone in your network. Always. You want to have control over it. So I think it's, if you go under here, can you still see this, Sharka?
Yes, you can see it well.
Okay, if you go under settings and privacy, okay. Let's see, I believe it's, and by the way, I have a premium account. You're fine with the basic unpaid account on LinkedIn until you realize that you're running up against a limit. Don't go paying for it until you have to. Let me see where this setting is. There's a setting here about, oh, I think it's visibility maybe. Yeah, here, who can see your connections, who can see, manage who can, you want everyone to be able to discover your profile. Here, shared, okay, if you see right here, shared job changes, education changes, and work anniversaries from profile. It's not that you don't want people to see your changes, but you don't want an update circulated every time you change a minor thing. So I put that as no, and then if you want to change it, you can change it back to yes before you make a change. So let's say you secure a wonderful summer associate role and you want everyone to know. You can come in, change this to yes, alert everyone, and then make the LinkedIn change so your whole network can be notified. But if you change a date from like 2019 to 2018, you don't want everyone kind of updated that there's been this major change on your profile when there's been kind of this small edit to a date. So I would go through actually all of these visibility markers and make sure they're set in a way that you're comfortable. If you're mentioned by others, you want to be able to be mentioned by others. So let's say you co-write a law review article, you want your co-author to be able to connect to you in their LinkedIn share. So another kind of good point, and thank you again for asking this question because it's a really good one. And as you can see, this could go on way longer than 20 minutes. But I'll show you actually a perfect example if this speeds up a little bit. Amy, who you heard from yesterday, she and I did a presentation this morning for the New York State Bar Association. And I did a post, which I'm going to get to, where you can see I tag the New York State Bar Association and I tag Amy. So what ends up happening is, in addition to my network, the State Bar's network on LinkedIn and Amy's network all see the post that I made. So it gives me access to share with their networks this post. And you want that because, again, it ends up increasing your visibility, and it ends up increasing your own network because then folks see what you're doing and then they separately will ask to connect with you. So let me just scroll down to this for a minute, and then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Okay, here, my activity. So here, so active 2,983 followers. That's how many folks are either following me or I'm connected to. So they see what I do on LinkedIn. And again, it's a big number because I've been doing this for a while, but 500 is a good minimum to start with. Okay, posts. I just want to show you what this looks like. Okay. Okay, right here. Thank you to, if you do the @ symbol, so like shift 2 on my computer, at the New York State Bar Association, this links to them. So thank you to the New York State Bar Association for hosting me, and a tag to Amy Goldstein to talk about pivots tomorrow at 10 a.m. I hope you can join us. The link for registration is below. I shared what the bar put up, and then I actually also, because there's some data behind whether or not this actually drives traffic, I actually put the link in a comment as well. So you could just test it out, and then you'll start to see what your own traction is. So 93 views of this post in my feed. That's actually not a lot. When I shared the launch of my own business, it's in one of these here. I think right now I'm at over 15,000 views of that one post. So you can start to see your own metrics in here, which you'll start to see kind of how you gain more traction. Oftentimes, it is when photos are attached. So that's another good one. If you attend a conference and you snap a picture, it doesn't have to necessarily identify anyone, and you post it and say, I enjoyed attending this conference, and you thank the speakers, even if you don't know them, but you tag them, that's another way to engage. So you take a picture, whether it's on Zoom or in person, hopefully someday soon, and you say, I enjoyed this conference on XYZ. I'm thrilled to have attended. Thank you to @John, @Joe, @Mary for presenting. Your content was fantastic. So you're engaging with the three of them, and you're also starting conversation and hopefully building a meaningful relationship with them in some way.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Randy. And so I hope that students will join us on Friday, and you can certainly ask more questions. I really like the segment you showed students about the setting, the various functions there. So that may be something we may want to talk about on Friday further. But thank you so much, and bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.